Outraged by the article of the powerful news producer, which is read by the whole world, the New York Times, which on December 16th published in its columns an article with evaluation judgments and conclusions about the expediency and success of the military operations of the armed forces of Ukraine on the left bank bridgehead around the settlement of Krinka. I have 4 appeals to those journalists, to militaries, to Ukrainians, to the world community. Why is it about journalists here? To the point that I understand the influence of that newspaper. And also, this bullet flew directly past me. I will justify everything and prove my position. I am addressing you, dear journalists of the New York Times. I do not want to encroach on your right to express your position. Let even a subjective position. But I want to draw your attention to criminal manipulation. I hope it was not order, that is paid for by the enemy, but also not comprehensively evaluate, you made in your pursuit of sensation and, I apologize, for royalties. I am addressing you as the commander of the strike unit of unmanned aircraft systems, which, since the first day of that offensive in early October, has been nonstop and daily engaged in combat missions. The enemy, sparing no means, hunts me personally and every crew of Magyar birds. Do you know what an aviation bomb KAYU or FAB is? This bomb is not 250 kilogram, not 500 kilogram. A FAB is a 1,500 kilograms bomb that the enemy controls from an aircraft. But the enemy directs these bombs to the areas of action of individual crews of the Magyar birds. It's like swatting flies with a freight train at full speed. I am addressing you as the commander of the unit, which during less than 2.5 months of stay in the south, hit more than 450 enemy vehicles on the mentioned strip, 153 of which were burned to ashes. More than 500 enemy drones were destroyed, from those that were headed for the LBZ line, that is, on heads for our Marines and soldiers. So I have a right to a position, and it is strong and well-founded. Let's get down to business. To film the emotional impressions of militaries who returned from the left bank. Okay for a Netflix movie. But to film them for a generalizing piece of crap regarding the position is a shameful criminal manipulation of the reader's consciousness. It is also exactly as if the relatives of a driver who had just died in a road accident on the freeway appealed to the builders of that freeway with accusations that the road provides for movement on it at a speed of 130 kilometers per hour, in contrast to roads of ordinary use, where the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour, and to blame the death of that driver on the builders for creating conditions for superfast driving, to ask their impressions and make generalizing conclusions for the whole world. And here I ask without additional manipulations. I am not talking about our soldiers. I am talking about misrepresentation, distortion, from a journalistic context, and presenting material with a conclusion about the fallacy of the idea of liberation on the example of human suffering around losses. Made certain notes. I don't have much time, and I want to express all my thoughts, so I'll keep an eye out. And let's make 10 such plots around Avdiivka, around Klishchivka with Bakhmut, around Mariinka, and definitely on Orisa. It will submit it in the context of the impracticality and principle of conducting any military operations and the fallacy of most of the decisions of the command of the armed forces. For what purpose is this done? To explain the impracticality of giving us your weapons? Weapons, 90% of the value of which remains in money and raises and strengthens your economy, thanks to the presence of a standing order? And why don't you comment on the unpublished losses that are additionally thrown on a small piece of earth? Bunker grandfather, Putin said about the absence of losses of a separate 104 Airborne Division. A whole division is no more, because of that little bridgehead, as the enemy's spokesman say. And what do you not say about the declassified 810 Brigade of Marines, which begged for hundreds of hectares of land here with its blood? Why don't you investigate such a strange fact of the liquidation of General Zawadzki, the former commanding general of the 4th Cantonmyrov Tank Division, the current deputy commander of the 14th Army, which, as he was, blew up on an enemy mine or not on an enemy mine? See? It happened on November 19th, I will give a hint, and not on November 28th, as the Russian media have published. It happened in the vicinity of the frontline Myachka, in Kherson region, not in Kharkiv region. Go that way, to that side of the war, and record an interview with Worm stormtroopers about their impressions of staying and traveling through the territories of occupied Ukraine. And make them public for the whole world. This will also have its own crazy influx and demand.